Welcome and thanks for joining us today. We're talking with Stanley Erck, President and CEO of Novavax. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're super excited to talk to you today. Obviously, it's been an incredibly busy time for your company. The last few years, the development of the COVID-19 vaccine. What are some exciting things taking place with Novavax right now?
Well, it'd be a shorter interview if you asked me what's not exciting. It's we've had a big couple of years. We've gone from being a company with 100 people in Montgomery County to 1,600 in 2 years, and so we've taken a vaccine from zero to it's approved worldwide right now, with the last exception is the United States. And in the U.S., we now have a date for the FDA to have an advisory board review all of our data on June 7th. So we're we've changed company. So,
yeah, the expansion's been really amazing, honestly. And you're actually expanding your business. You just talked about it a little bit, the size of it, but also just your campus in Montgomery County. What were some key factors that were at the top of your list when you were making those decisions?
Well, we've been here for some time, for a long time in smaller buildings. And once we started this growth process and started thinking about what space and how we can keep the company together on a campus, we found just this great place. And we went to the county and state and city and got a lot of cooperation, because these things can take a long time with permitting delays and that sort of thing. And we got really good cooperation. So we've now built a place. It's got almost 200,000 square feet. We're putting labs and manufacturing space in there, and we've got room on the campus for 5 or 6 more buildings. So it allows us to grow for a long time in one place.
So when you were looking, were there other places you looked, and what was it about Montgomery County that made you say, like, no, we're going to stay here? This was where we started and we're going to stay.
Yeah. Well, yes, we looked at all the places where biotech is generally located, and up and down the East Coast and West Coast for that matter. And we got a lot of cooperation from the local government to help us be here. It helps that we already had people here, and we had that 100 people I told you were all lived here. So we didn't want to relocate everybody, but we would have if it were worthwhile, and it wasn't. So we stayed. We've got a place to grow. We can hire people. We're on a campus that's near some of the government research institutions, and so they're close by. We have collaborations with them, and so it works out really, really quite well.
Talk a little bit about, like you said, this is where you started. Talk about how being located in Montgomery County has really contributed to Novavax's overall success. Maybe some things like workforce, maybe diversity, lifestyle, transportation options. Were those things that also have contributed to your success?
Yeah, I think every CEO would tell you the same thing. It's the workforce is the most important part of the company. And that's what we have. We can attract people here. It's a great place to live, to raise kids, good schools, and just nice housing opportunities throughout the state. And so that contributes a lot to having a successful company is being able to recruit the best people.
Just to follow up on something you said a second ago, that access to the government and its own medical research, has that been a key factor the last few years for your success, do you think?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because it's less of a factor because everything's video now, everything's virtual. And so but in the past, we would always just go over to the NIH or NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, with whom we collaborate as well. So the video makes it easier to have meetings and cooperation. But having said that, it's still better to be close. And when we get back to the world of having real in-person meetings, it makes it just that much easier. Pre-pandemic, we would go down to the FDA and have consultations with them in person, and they're 20 minutes away, as opposed to having to get on an airplane and go see them. So that helps a lot.
Thank you. That's great. Tell us about your new headquarters more and your expansion in Gaithersburg, and kind of what that looks like and what it really allows you to do. You talked about it a little bit already, but could you expand on that?
Sure. So our new headquarters is a 180,000 square foot building with 3 floors. Top floors is offices, but we're putting in quality control labs in the second floor, and on the first floor, we're actually going to be able to manufacture product that we can use in humans and GMP manufacturing space. And we didn't have that before, and it's crucial to have it in your own company so you can control the timing of everything that you do. The other part of it is that adjacent to our building is we have something like 14 acres of open land, and that gives us the ability to add 5 or 6 more buildings to this area. And everything is easy here. I mean, all the roads and their bus is everything's very convenient to get here.
How has that really changed the dynamic for your company? You talked about being in a few different locations, different buildings, but just having your own campus. What is that like for your employees and your workforce?
Well, I think it's the obvious thing is I think it makes everybody feel that they're part of something really, really important and really big. And it gives us all a feeling that, gee, now Novavax, you see it on the screen behind me, is we've got construction banners all around the building with Novavax on it. So everybody who drives down the road now knows who Novavax is. That helps. It makes people feel part of something important.
And now you can bring people from NIH and FDA and NIST to you guys too, right? You have this capability now to be a host to all these great researchers and bring people from around the world, right?
No, as I say, access is great. Being able to bring people here, we have partnerships with global countries and global companies in Japan and South Korea and India, and particularly important one in India, where we have manufactured tens of millions of doses of our vaccine that we've distributed in the past few months. And so we've hosted them for 5 or 6 days, and being in the Washington, D.C. area is it's a great place for tourists to come. And so it makes the trip just that much better.
Awesome. Well, let's talk just a little bit, before we go, let's talk about what's happening right now with Novavax and the COVID-19 vaccine. What makes it different and why the public should be super excited about what's going on.
Yeah, it's as I say, this is a transformational time. We've become a commercial company in the past 4 or 5 months. We've made our first profit in the first quarter after 20 years of doing research and trying to build up a company. And so right now, with the global, we're approved in Europe and Japan and Canada and globally, and we've submitted all the documents to the FDA. And it's a crucial time for us, because this is the time when the FDA takes a look at all the data we've generated. And the reason it's our vaccine is anybody cares is because we have great efficacy data, as good as any other vaccine. We have nice tolerability and safety data, again, as good as any other vaccine. We also have a vaccine that's very usable. We don't have to freeze it. You just keep it stored at room temperature or refrigerated at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. And it makes this whole storage and shipping easier and more practical, which is important in the United States, and it's even more important in developing countries. So there are a lot of advantages to this vaccine, and people have been waiting for it, and now here we are. Throughout the process, other organizations have recognized the importance of our vaccine from the data that we generated 2 years ago in animal models to our first human data, and we've been supported by groups like CEPI, which is a group that is a not-for-profit that funds work for trying to get vaccines into the entire global network, and so we've been working with them for the last couple of years. They gave us a large grant. The U.S. government has supported our work again with a large grant, and have to say that our investors, people who invest in the company, have enabled us to do all this, and so it's been a good combination for the company.
But before we go, let's talk about your employees and the staff that you've worked with, and how incredibly hard everybody on your team's been working the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because I can't say it enough, is that everybody's been working here. I mean, we've gone from normal 5 or 6 day a week operation to where I think 7 days a week, anything can happen. I mean, it's the way our business is. We've got, as I mentioned, we have collaborations on every time zone. and it makes it really hard for the employees, but they do it. And so we have 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning meetings and all the way up through the evening. And so getting a really good employee base. We have a lot of scientific and technical people that contribute to all this, and it's you just have to have access to the best employee base that you can.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I enjoyed talking to you. I'd like to thank today's guest, Stanley Irk, President and CEO of Novavax. I'm your moderator, Vanessa Roberts. For more on this discussion, please visit WTOP.com and search Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation or MCEDC.